What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is United versus Everybody. I am Sean. You guys are the community, the fans, my friends. Honestly, I think of you guys as my friends now. But as always, I'm happy to be here, excited to hear your thoughts, get your opinions and your reactions to everything, and also get your predictions, because today we are talking about the Carabao Cup. Because like I said the other day, these games are coming thick and fast. We're going to be seeing a lot of each other over the next few weeks until the international break. And today is especially interesting in terms of previews go, because there's a different manager on the touchline. Obviously, we were here several points yesterday to talk about the breaking news. Obviously, Manchester United have sacked Erik tenhag. We are reportedly heavily deep in talks with Ruben Amorim of Sporting Lisbon, who could join us in time to be in charge for the Chelsea match at the weekend. I don't know yet. We're going to see. As of right now, a lot of it is rumors, but it is coming from big sources. David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, Fabrizio Romano, Laurie Whitwell, they're all reporting on it. But in between Ten Hag and potentially Ruben Amorim, we are entering the era of Ruud. It officially kicks off tomorrow, or at least the interim era of Ruud, or potentially the one-game era of Ruud. Danny in the house already says, let's go, Ruud. All right, Lionhearts, how are you, my friend? Good to see the Irish connection linking up in the chat. My family's pretty Irish, actually, too. I think my grandmother and my great aunt on my dad's side were both born there. They're twins. So a lot of Irish on my side as well. So, but thanks, Lionhearts, loving the shirt. This is one of my favorites. The centenary, like the 0102. I need to find it in a long sleeve, but I do love this shirt a lot. I'm very picky with my shirts. You guys can't see, but I got a rack over the weekend to take all my shirts out of a box and hang them all up. And I counted them out as I did it, and it's very embarrassing. I'm not going to tell you the number. See if someone can guess the number. I'll let you know if you get it right. Lionheart says, Jesus, that was a heavy bogey. Yeah, this thing is heavy, mostly because it's double-sided. If you remember, this is reversible. So the other side is that gold, which I don't really like. It doesn't look like gold. It looks like something like the color of the inside of a used diaper or something, but this is legit. I love this thing. So in any case, we are entering the potential one match era of Ruud against Leicester tomorrow in the Carabao Cup. We'll have a different manager on the touchline, which we're probably all used to at this point. We've seen the sack managers every couple of years. I'm very curious to see how we're going to line up tomorrow and how we play under Ruud. Ruud does have a little bit of different system. He does like to overload numbers in the attack. He does like to get his attackers in and around the box. And he does play a very compact defensive structure. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be interested more to see if any players end up missing out, any key players, whether that's because of rotation or is that potentially indicative of some of the bluffers in this squad. Are there players that Ruud, because he's been working with them, that he knows have down tools, that he knows, like, no, you're not it. That'll be interesting. Might raise a couple eyebrows, because obviously this is coming off the back as well of yesterday's bombas and breaking news. Reportedly, Amorim has already agreed to take the job, even immediately if needed. But it's needed, Ruben. So we need you in. Start getting to work. Danny says we just say a sand color. Yeah, whatever we got to tell ourselves, right? David says, I'd play Amas, fuck it. Yeah, and we're going to get into that. I want to hear your predictions for the match. I want to hear your starting 11, who's in, who's out, how you'd like us to line up, all that stuff. So first things first, though, like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, like the video. But big up Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo for finishing 6th and 3rd, respectively, in the Ballon d'Or Copa Trophy voting, if you guys follow along with that ceremony. The Copa Trophy is basically the Ballon d'Or for younger youngsters, basically, also called the Golden Boy Award. So I think, like I said, Kobbie was finished 3rd. I think Lamine Yamal picked that one up, and then Alejandro Garnacho finished 6th. So 2 United youngsters in the top 10 for the Golden Boy Award is not bad. Like I said before, the future is looking bright. We have a lot of really good youngsters. Lionheart says, do you think that Ruud might trial the 3 at the back? We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Danny says, what was the order, Sean? The order of all of the Golden Boys or just those 2? Because Alejandro Garnacho got 6th and Kobbie Mainoo was 3rd. So, but I'll let me go ahead and look at the full list here. the top six. I think it was Lamine Yamal, Arda Güler was number 2, Kobbie Mainoo 3, Savinho 4, Pau Cubarsí 5, and then Alejandro Garnacho was 7th. Our 6, tied on 6 actually was João Neves, and then Zaire Emery, Matthias Tell, and Karim Konate, who I really like, by the way, were all for 8th. So a couple of good youngsters. What no Palestri, says Lionhearts. Yeah, where did Palestri end up going again? I can't remember off the top of my head now. Someone will let me know in the chat. But anyway, big up Garnacho, big up Kobbie Mainoo for getting the top 6. I think Kobbie Mainoo could probably claim that next season if we continue to see his star rise, if we continue to use him well. I think he could really do well in a Ruben Amorim system. He is a really good on the ball midfielder. He's really good at keeping the ball, carrying the ball, creating space for himself. And we've seen this year he's actually up there with interceptions, and his defensive output has been really solid as well. So I think he could really excel in that system. And I think he's already at a level, I think, skill-wise, and his ceiling is so high. I think Kobbie could take to that challenge. I think he could deal with that challenge of playing in that system, not just sitting back all the time and maybe having enough players ahead of him, or vice versa, but being able to do both on and off the ball work. I think it could really be a good challenge for Kobbie. Oh, Lionheart says he went to Greece. Yeah, I forgot. What was it, like Panathinaikos or something? No, I don't remember. In any case, on the Ballon d'Or, though, before we dive into the match preview, I have to call out the absolute joke of the decision to award the Ballon d'Or to Rodri. I don't think that Rodri's a bad player. I just think that there were players that were probably a little bit more deserving, in my opinion. Like I've said, I think that should have gone to Carvajal. I do think it was childish of Real Madrid to completely boycott the ceremony. I thought that was a bit petty and immature. But just because Vinny Jr. didn't win. Vinny Jr. is young. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to win the Ballon d'Or. But I do think Carvajal should have grabbed that. He got Champions League, La Liga, and got the Euros as well. So more trophies than Rodri. Played a key role in all those competitions. He did score the winner in the Champions League final. Danny Carvajal did. So I think he was probably more deserving of it. But it is what it is. It's just another award, in any case, that's going to have an asterisk next to it because it's a Man City player. So you guys let me know. Danny says, I thought it was deserved. I mean, no one's saying Rodri didn't have a good season. In terms of City compared to the season prior, I think that City did really fall off, personally. I just think Carvajal did more. Obviously, I think the Champions League clinches it for me. He did score that winner as well in the Champions League. So he won everything that Rodri won, but he also won more, and he played a bigger role in the trophy that Real Madrid had, the Champions League, than Rodri played in City's league. So I think that it's about opinion. I never really got into the Ballon d'Or the whole lot. I think that there are some cases where you could argue that it's popularity. I think there's some cases where there are a lot of players who should have won it, like Beckham should have really won it after a 99 season. But it is what it is. I think Emi Martinez got the keeper award as well. So Lionheart says he's out there eating them olives. Mr. Norte, welcome to the channel, my friend. Good to see you. Lionheart's Bloody Madrid throwing all their toys. Yeah, that was just embarrassing to me. Like that to me is just, like I said, it's a bit childish. It's a bit petty. That was because Vinny didn't get it. No one's showing up. It's just a little weird, but it is what it is. So I did see in a little bit of news that Luke Shaw might have aggravated the injury in terms of a recovery as well. He might be out for an extended period, even more so. And then Samuel Butthurst reminded us all yesterday of just how injury prone Shaw has with a little bit of a stat. He said, Jamie Luckers let us know that Bruno Fernandes has only 29 fewer appearances for United as Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw joined United 6 years prior to Bruno. So Shaw's been here 6 more years, and Bruno is about to overtake him in appearances. So that's a little bit embarrassing if I'm Shaw. Plus, like I said, Butthurst is reporting that Shaw has aggravated his recovery, so he will not be back. But yeah, I think that just buying his contract out and letting him go. Didn't he just sign a new contract not that long ago? I mean, I think if Shaw could stay fit in a Ruben Amorim system, he could play multiple roles. He could easily play that wingback role. He could easily fill in as a left center back if needed, because he's done that before and he's done it well. Remember, there was a time where he was being picked over Harry Maguire for that left-sided center back role. So it is what it is. Maybe, I mean, in a dream situation, maybe you could go swoop for like Gutierrez or Alphonso Davies to play that role, and that side's just locked up. And while Amos continues to develop, I prefer Gutierrez or like Fran Garcia or Elite Davis, but then to Alphonso Davies. But I know that Alphonso Davies is very good as well. In any case, Lionheart said it's not Shaw's fault. It's not Shaw's fault that he's injured. I don't ever blame a player for like getting injured like that. It's just a fact that he's been injured half the time he's been here. And like, it sounds heartless. It may sound mean, but I'm like, I can't count on him as being part of the squad anymore. So it just is. The same with Mason Mount. Like, I'm done with Mason Mount. I don't have anything personal against Mason Mount. I'm not going to demand that he give back his paycheck or whatever, or he buys himself. Like, I'm not demanding any of that. I don't blame that. Like, you're injured at your job while doing your job. In any other industry, we call that workers' comp, right? But it is just a fact that they're injury prone and they've not been fit, and we can't count on them moving forward. So I look out for the club first, and the club, should move on, really. So Danny says Malacia too is on borrowed time. Yeah, Malacia is a hard one. It's really odd to me how hush-hush that recovery and the initial injury were. On Malacia, I just never thought he was that great. He never looked convincing to me. He never looked like the kind of fullback that you look at when he was playing and say, yeah, he could replace Luke Shaw. He doesn't move the needle for me, but I think that's a case of maybe Ten Hag's talent ID being a little stuck on Ajax levels where it really needed to be at Manchester United level. And that doesn't mean we just need Galacticos. It just means we can look for a different caliber of player than somebody you think would come in and improve Ajax. So Lionheart says, even injured, he's still our best left back, in my opinion. Shaw, I think Shaw is great when he's fit. He really is, especially when he gets forward into the final third and he goes on these bombing runs. Shaw is really good. He's just not ever fit. And so I just gotten to a point, especially like last season, where I'm just like, I can't count on you. So we'd have to move on. Plus, I think that there are left backs out there who can be just as good. And Shaw's 29 now, so it's not like he's going to be the future. So it is what it is. He could easily go to like a Newcastle or like a West Ham or something like that and do just fine. So back to tomorrow's match, though. We all remember Leicester's Premier League title, lifting the FA Cup as well a few years back. So they're not without their trophies. I remember they were doing all sorts of things that year they won the Premier League under Ranieri. Dilly ding, dilly dong, right? So they have returned to the Premier League this season after being relegated 2 years ago. They have not been doing great, though. They have just 3 wins in all competitions this season. They're only 2 wins in the league and 1 League Cup win over like Tranmere Rovers, I think it was. And their 2 league wins came just this month. And that was a very big surprise 1-0 victory over Bournemouth, who are doing pretty well under Riola. And then they had a 3-2 result over fellow newly promoted side Southampton, thanks to a very late stoppage time winner. I think that was like 98th minute or something. So got a couple wins, managed to keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth, which was impressive, but they're not doing great since they arrived. And I think a lot of that has more to do with Steve Cooper taking over for Enzo Maresca. And kind of similar to like Lopetegui, hasn't really figured out his best system, his best 11, best tactics, all that stuff. If you look around at a lot of the Leicester fan sites and stuff, they're willing to be patient, but Steve Cooper seems to be caught in 2 minds between continuing with what Maresca did, but also trying to implement his own style, which means some of Leicester's better players are not getting as much minutes as some people would like. Who's missing from Leicester's squad for this one? So Chowdhury is out, Stolarczyk is out, Vestergaard, Daka, Christensen are all out. Buonanotte has been very dangerous for them, very good. Obviously, that young attacker, I think he came from Brighton, I believe. And he's doing bits for them in recent weeks, but he's also young. And so kind of like Garnacho, he is prone to errors in possession, losing the ball a little too easily, but also his decision-making. Sometimes he shoots when he should pass. Sometimes he plays a bad ball when he should really carry it further into the final third to get into a better position. And this is what you're going to get from youngsters. He's very, very young. Veteran striker Jamie Vardy, yeah, he's still kicking around, if you can believe that. He is also pitching in with goals here and there. He still looks dangerous now and then. So Leicester, their build-up play is good. They focus on building up from the back. They do get themselves into good positions, but again, their decision-making can be poor. Their players tend to take long-range shots instead of maybe attempting to work the ball a little further, getting into better positions in and around the area. Sounds familiar. We are guilty of that at United. They lack, like I said, a semblance of a solid structure, a consistent pattern under Cooper. And they are actually very, very vulnerable to counterattacks. They can commit a few too many bodies forward. They do find a way to dig deep, though, and get the second win. So they do come out swinging generally at halftime. They actually lead the stats when it comes to performance between the 46th and the 75th minute. So they come out at halftime all guns blazing. So we need to be prepared for that. We have seen, not from just under tenhag, but from this squad in the last several years, that we do tend to be a one-half team, whether that's we start strong and we come out the second half bad or vice versa. That's us, and we can't afford to do that. We've yet to see a consistent 90-minute performance from this squad under tenhag, under Ollie, under anybody for a long time. Leicester also seem to come alive in the final 10 minutes of the game too. So we need to make sure we get switched on. It's something that I've criticized us for many years, that we do tend to kind of take our foot off the gas a little bit in the final 10 minutes, especially when we're trying to see out a lead. Remember, we've dropped a lot of points from winning positions over the last few years because we've just failed to remain switched on in those dying minutes, and we need to correct that. That's a mentality thing. That's not a tactic thing. That is a mentality thing. If you're up 3-0 against Coventry City in the FA Cup semifinal in the 70-some-odd minute, you shouldn't. The manager should just be able to leave. And players who are Champions League winners, World Cup winners, Premier League winners, whatever, shouldn't need management at that point. It's a mentality thing to stay switched on, which might mean Dallo needs to sit this one out. But we're going to get to team selection in a second. So you guys get your thoughts in as we continue here. As far as defensively, like I was saying, Leicester are actually at the top or like near the top when it comes to chances conceded. But United are also at or near the top when it comes to big chances missed. So it could just be like two 90-year-old people fighting. Like, it's boring, but it's back and forth. Leicester also haven't failed to score in each match this season. So they score in every match, basically, at least one goal. So it's going to be a test for our defense, but our defense has the most clean sheets in the Premier League this season. So I trust our defense is what I'm trying to get at. If we can stay switched on, though, from key players, looking at you, Diogo Dallo, I think we'll be fine defensively. If you remember from the Europa League match last week, I was very, very critical of Ten Hag's decision to rotate, to experiment. I didn't think it was the match to start Zirkzee. I definitely didn't agree with his decision to put Mazraoui in 10 when we had Ahmad on the bench. When Eriksen was there, we could have started with a really strong midfield and gotten that game just out of the way. Mostly because, it was a must-win game for us. And like Paul Scholes said, Ten Hag wasn't in the position at that time to rest players, especially the players that are in form. It wasn't the time to do that. This match would have been the time to maybe do that. In my opinion, anyway. I know I want to take every match seriously. This isn't me binning it off the domestic cups. You guys know I rate the domestic cups, but against this competition, this could have been the time to do that. I'm not saying this could be a time to experiment with Mazraoui in the 10. That was a dumb decision. But to rest Højlund, start Zirkzee, I could see that happening. Giving Harry Amos a run out, like Danny is saying. Bringing on Jack Fletcher, even in the second half, if we get a couple goals up and we want some energy to counter Leicester's kind of second wind, et cetera, et cetera. This is the match to do that kind of stuff. And if Collier's fit, maybe even start Collier in this one in midfield and just shore up that midfield. And so I think we should be beating Leicester with players rested for this one. I think that it's okay to rest players because I really think we need to start maximizing our points from Europa League and from the Premier League right now. And it's going to sound like I'm going down the Jurgen Klopp route and saying we should bin this off, but we should be trying to recoup something from the other leagues that we're in. We have a Carabao Cup, we have an FA Cup. I'm not saying don't try, but I'm saying right now the priority for me is getting some points on the board in the league and the Europa League. So for this one, you guys let me know your starting 11. I'm going to go with Bayindir, Mazraoui, only because we don't have many options at fullback, and I think Dalot just really needs to sit down for a second. I'd start with De Ligt, and I'd start with Evans. I think that we want some experience. We want some physicality back there. And I might play Leach at left back for this one as well, but I also could see a shout for Harry Amas starting. I'm going to go with Ugarte and Casemiro in the pivot, just because right now we're limited with options, and I do think that at some point Eriksen is going to need a rest. Put him on the bench if you want, but he needs a rest, I think. And I don't know yet if Collier is fit. I haven't even seen if there's been a press conference, but I didn't really see the need to wait at this point. I'd like to see Ahmad start this one on the right-hand side. I'd like to put Garnacho on the left-hand side. I do think Garnacho shows that he's getting into good positions, and the only way to get his decision-making to improve is to play him and let him put himself in those situations and have an opportunity to make the better decision, because I think Rashford will just going to let Rashford rest. He was pretty much a ghost in the last match as well, so just time to give him a rest. And again, I think that it's a good time for that. Bruno, I think, could be just fine in the 10. He didn't play against Fenerbahce. Played the other day against West Ham. Had some bad moments, but again, we don't really have many other options. I don't think Mason Mount's going to be fit yet. If Mason Mount is fit, start Mason Mount. But otherwise, we're going to have to go with Bruno. Because I think between Bruno and Eriksen, Bruno just never needs to rest, basically. And then, like I said, I'm going to go with Xerxes up top, because I think this is a game where Xerxes could do that. He actually didn't look bad when he against West Ham. I thought that situation, that match, was good for him. He was getting involved in the build-up. He had the assist, obviously. I'd like to see him do a little bit more of that. Use his physicality, get his head up. Don't be afraid. He's a unit. It always bugs me when big players are afraid to use their size. And against Fenerbahce, that's what it looked like. Danny says Bayindir, Amas, De Ligt, Licha, Mazraoui, Ugarte, Collier, Xerxes, Rashford, Amas, Rasmus. And I'd give Wheatley 30 minutes in the second half. Lionheart says, I think Ruud might put out the strongest team possible as his first outing. For me, this isn't the time for fringe players. Yeah, this is one of those difficult ones. I mean, do we want to run Eriksen into the ground? I think that Ruud's going to start a strong team, probably because I do think Ruud probably wants to win, because it's might be his only match in charge. And who knows if he's still going to be here at the end of the season. If Amorim comes in, you won't begrudge Amorim for maybe wanting to bring some of his own coaching staff. And like I said yesterday, I wouldn't begrudge Ruud for wanting maybe to get back into management at the end of the season. It's been 2 years out of management. Obviously, he loves United. He loves being here. But we'll see. It's all up in the air. I think if we can grab a few goals, maybe we can rotate a bit in the second half, give some of those youngsters some minutes. Like Danny said, maybe play Wheatley. If Amas doesn't start, we can bring on Amas. Maybe if Jack Fletcher is in the squad again, like he was the other day, give him some minutes. Maybe even Ethan Ennis can come on to let one of our wide players rest a bit, because right now we're pretty bare. It's Rashford, Garnacho, and Ahmad wide. Ennis joined us on preseason. He had some bright moments. There's a chance maybe I'd throw him in the matchday squad. And if we're up a couple goals, give Garnacho a rest, let Ahmad play, and bring on Ennis just to basically come on and cause problems with his energy. Again, that precociousness that comes with youth. Let me know what you guys think. I think that because Ruud values youth, we saw that at PSV, and he knows that that's what United's lifeblood is. I think that he could. I think we're probably going to see some of these youngsters either start or at least get a good amount of minutes in this one. So. Lionheart says the players need to bounce back after Sunday. Yeah, the players they're in the negative right now. They're in the red for me. Sorry if that was loud. I forgot to have the mic over there. They're in the red. They need to show me something, because I'm really tired of some of the players that we have in the squad and the disgraceful displays they put in when certain managers are about to get sacked. Danny says, we can't run players into the ground. Youth need minutes to show where they're at. And I think, honestly, the context, like you're saying, I think, given the context of what we need to do in the league and the Europa League right now, because I do think the Europa League is salvageable. The league, obviously, that's not going to happen. I think the season, in terms of qualifying. I wouldn't bank on us qualifying for Champions League next season, is basically the point I'm getting at. But I do think Europa League we could still salvage. Not necessarily think we're going to win it, because again, the expectations change as the context and the circumstances change. But I do think that we can still pull something out and qualify. So I would like, this is just one of those matches where it sounds like I'm binning off the domestic cup. I'm not. I'm focusing on the long term, not the short term. And so I think that I'd like to see some of those youngsters get minutes. I'd like to see some players rest, mainly because they've been playing a lot in the case of Dalot, Rashford, and Eriksen, but also because maybe some of them just form-wise need to sit down for a second. Lionheart says, I get that. But yeah, there is no right or wrong answer here. It's just, and this is why I don't envy managers. It's hard to think long-term and short-term all at the same time. Try to keep everybody happy. It's near impossible. Somebody's always going to be disappointed. Something's always going to have to give a little bit in order to get something else. It's just the way it is. Lionheart says, Wheatley isn't going to win us the game. Wheatley hasn't impressed me with his finishing. Maybe there's a chance Obi Martin can make the match day squad. Who knows? Obi Martin could probably win us this game, honestly. I think he's looked better to me than Wheatley. I'm not saying I'm writing Wheatley off. It's just when he has played, it's just his finishing has not been convincing. But he didn't Wheatley get a hat trick like last month? Someone remind me. Danny says, we don't know unless he plays, Lionhearts. Yeah, I mean, he came on last season against, who was it? I forget who that was. And he tried. He was getting about. He was pressing. Bruno was trying to find him. Like, you can tell he wants it. I just, when I have seen Wheatley play, his finishing is a little raw still. So we'll see how it goes. Danny says he scores for fun with the youths. Lionheart says, fair enough. So did Obi. Yeah, Obi looks really, really good. Obi already looks like a striker in his mid-20s, just with his build and just his technique and things. He already looks like a grown man. It's insane. Biancheri, yeah, I like Biancheri a lot as well. He could be a very exciting young inclusion. I'd like to let Biancheri still just develop a bit, because he's still what is he, only like 17, 16? I don't remember off the top of my head. But in any case, we should be winning this one easily. I think we'll get a few goals. Leicester are vulnerable. I do think Leicester will probably grab a goal because they have every single match they played this season. I'm going to go with 4-1 United. I think that under Ruud, I think we're going to see a bit more goals. I think he's going to be working with the attackers a bit. And that's not me just saying because he's a striker, he's going to get them scoring. But I'm basing that on what he was at PSV and how he helped their academy, how he helped the first team, how he helped the young attackers really level up in their finishing, in their positioning, in their decision making. And I think that we could see some of that. I think because he likes to get a lot of numbers forward in the box, I think that there's going to be more opportunities there. Rooney was only 16 for Everton. Yeah, and Rooney, and that's the danger too. You want, if they're, there's a whole saying, if they're good enough, they're old enough. But at the same time, by the time Rooney was in his late 20s, he had put on so many minutes on his legs, so many miles on his legs, that you could tell it was wearing him out. It was wearing him down a little bit. Dana B says 3-1. I'm saying 4-1. Lionheart says, fuck it. You have all convinced me, flinging all the youngsters. And part of that, you could also make an argument that, some of these first teamers just they need to sit down, and the youngsters deserve a shot because these first teamers have not been showing that they're up for it. Nobody can finish their chances. I don't know what Dalot was thinking when he missed that open goal against West Ham. I mean, there were so many missed chances. We should have been ahead by at least 3 goals in that first half alone. And it just wasn't happening. And I just don't understand how players can miss those kind of chances. It just doesn't make sense to me. So in any case, let me know. Danny's going pretty heavily on the youth. I don't even know if Collier's fit. Danny, is Collier fit? You let me know if you've seen any updates. I know he wasn't fit for the West Ham match. We had Fletcher on the bench for that one. Amos was on the bench. Wheatley was on the bench. Yeah, if Collier is fit, I would definitely start Collier, though. But I'm not sure if he's going to be fit. I know Manu's still out. Mount, Yoro, Shaw, Maguire, Malacia, all these guys are still out. So we're thin. But you guys let me know what you think. Lionheart says he was thinking about popping open the champagne, the bloody. I don't know. Maybe he saw that defender, I forget who it was, coming out of the corner of his eye, and he was trying to like chip it. I don't know. But that's the thing with Dalot, whether it's that moment or sometimes when he's trying to put a cross in, he puts way too much on it. Like, he needs to get his foot around the ball a little bit more and stop getting under it. He skies a lot of his crosses. They go out, pass out of the off over the byline. Even that thing, like, and that happens sometimes when you're just a little too rushed, you're a little too nervous, you put a little too much on the ball. I say it to people all the time when I'm playing, like, it doesn't take much force to put a ball in the net. Most of the time, you're just redirecting it when it's coming. You're not even swinging your leg at it. Like, that didn't need much. And we've seen that it doesn't, like, it takes a little bit of composure. Garnacho basically scored a goal just like that in the final last season against City, if you remember that. And he did it just fine. It's just a little cushion. It doesn't take much pressure. It doesn't take a whole swing of the leg. Sometimes just a little rotation of the ankle or something is all you need. And players just too often, they just swing their full leg at it, and that's where it goes into Rosed, and somebody takes home a souvenir. So, and anyway, Lionheart says, I was Dalot's biggest fan when he was at Milan. Dalot, I know Dalot's getting a lot of hate this year, and like I said, he is not having a great season, and there are aspects of his game that he's yet to improve upon, but the same can be said for a lot of players at this club, and I think part of that is the player. I'm not gonna like excuse the player from that, but part of it is a lot to do with just the way the club has been in terms of just the managers and things. It's hard to improve, but Dalot was not a bad fullback. He was one of our better players last season, especially. He's not having a good season. So I don't know if it's a mental thing for him or if it's just a quality thing. Maybe he's hit his ceiling. I don't know. But maybe he's nervous because Mazraoui came in, and if and when Shaw gets fit, maybe Dalot doesn't know where he's going to fit in the side. I don't know, but that's up to him to show the managers, to show the coaching staff that he deserves a start. It's up to him to challenge Mazraoui for that right back spot. It's up to him to challenge whoever the left back is to stay there. It's up to him, and the only way he can do that is to perform and to improve and to put in the work and stay switched on. It's often said the players pick the team, and this is one of those instances. So Danny says, how's EAFC, Sean? Is the youth system on career mode any different or better? Have you not bought it yet, Danny? I'm waiting for the I think there's an update that comes out tomorrow or Friday. I'm really what I'm waiting for is the live start points to kick in. I'm like borderline considering how to maybe pursue some sort of legal action for false advertising against EA because the live starts were advertised and they're not part of the game. But I'm waiting for all that to go down before I start another career mode with Ruben Amorim, probably. The youth system is interesting. It's not bad. EA just changed a lot of stuff that really wasn't necessary. And they've completely messed up the formation and the team structure. It used to be you can make a player pretty much if you had a pivot. So they have United's default as a 4-2-3-1 and Eriksen is in there, but they only let CDMs play in the CDM role. So if you start Eriksen there, which is where he starts in real life, his overall immediately takes like a -11 hit because the game doesn't let you choose the positions anymore like that, which they don't let you manually move players around or anything. It was such an unnecessarily stupid decision to make. I do like the youth tournaments. I do think that's fun. I do like being able to be a little bit more involved with the youth. But the youth, they've made the youth player models look younger, but they all look really creepy. They look like dolls, and they're really creepy looking. So supposedly they grow beards and stuff as they age in game, but if it's just you're slapping a beard on a child's face, it's just gonna that's like nightmare fuel. You can't unsee that stuff. That'll stay with you forever. So it's gonna look very, very creepy. Lionheart says, aren't FIFA supposed to be bringing out their own game? Yeah. Who knows? I'm getting to a point, though, where I might start to feel a little too old. But I say that, but you never know. Danny says, didn't bother. Wait till Black Friday. Danny says, you can switch it like before. Fuck that. Yeah, they made a lot of unnecessary changes, unfortunately, to it. The menus are very clunky. They're just like, visually, they're just not really all there. They're not really easy to navigate. And that there's like button lag input when you're just trying to confirm things and move things. There's like a lag. Sometimes you got to press something twice. But that's a bug I've seen a lot of people have. So it's not like my controller or anything. Other than that, it's nice to have certain features for immersion. But again, the career mode hasn't really gotten a whole lot of love. It never really does. A lot of the changes that they've made are to suit the Ultimate Team players. And like I've said, I've never played Ultimate Team, so I don't really know anything about Ultimate Team. I see people talk about it sometimes. I don't know what an SBC is. I don't know what any of that stuff is. So it's like when people talk about like Twitch. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. So maybe I'm old. Maybe I'm just out of touch. I don't know. But in any case, I wanted to wait till Black Friday, but the itch just took over and I got it anyway. So it is what it is. But Z Sporting confirmed the deal is done, mate. Uh-oh. Look at that. It was good that I waited a hot second. Let me go check and see. Hold on. I'm going to check. This is great. I love getting this stuff live. Thank you, Z. Popping in. Breaking news. Okay, we have an official statement from Sporting Lisbon. I don't speak Portuguese. What are you doing? Here we go. Sporting confirmed today that Man United is preparing to pay 10 million euros to take Ruben Amorim. Breaking. Sporting have officially filed a statement that Manchester United have expressed an interest in paying 10 million euros for Ruben Amorim. Look at that. So it is going to happen. Sporting reportedly have confirmed this. They have put out a statement. Here we go. Manchester United has expressed an interest in hiring coach Ruben Amorim, with the board of directors of Sporting referring to the terms and conditions set out in the employment contract in force between the company and coach, specifically the respective termination clause in the amount of euros of 10 million. Manchester United has expressed an interest in paying Sporting the amount of the aforementioned clause, can be read in the statement sent to CMVM. Well, look at that. It is official. We will be starting the FC 25 career mode with Ruben Amorim. I really hope the live start points kick in because that's just going to make it more fun. So you guys let me know what you think. We did the video on Ruben Amorim yesterday. You guys can go ahead and check that out. In that video, there's also a link to a video I did last spring highlighting Ruben Amorim just as a manager, as his coach. What are his tactics? What is his record? What are his management capabilities and traits? Go check that out if you haven't yet. It's a really good deep dive into Ruben Amorim. Let me know. Hit that like button if you're excited for Ruben Amorim to join. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Thank you, Z, for jumping in last second, my friend, and letting us know to go check out what was going on social media. I'm sure the news will be all over it ahead of the match tomorrow and everything, and it's going to be interesting to see what we do. I do like the way he plays. I do think his system does suit our players. Especially Højlund, especially guys like Rashford and Garnacho, who are a little bit more inside forwards, who do like to operate in the channels. Højlund, who does like to receive those balls in the channels and off the shoulders. So Danny says, I hope Ruud stays too. We'll see if Ruud stays. It's going to be interesting at the end of the season what happens with Ruud. Again, I think if Ruud leaves, it might be more to do with maybe being offered another job someplace. There's a lot of Bundesliga clubs that might be looking for new managers. If Hoeneß leaves Stuttgart, if Nuri Sahin doesn't last very long at Dortmund, if Xabi Alonso leaves Bayer Leverkusen, it could be interesting to see what happens. I think a lot of those jobs would suit Ruud very well. So, but we will see what happens. Lionheart says he probably will stay as he was an Ineos appointment. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Ruud is new at management. He's only had one season of first team management. He did obviously work with the Dutch national team. He did work with PSV Eindhoven's academy, and then he took over for the season and did very well. But he has spent the last 2 years basically as an assistant, as learning and things. And so I think when the right opportunity comes, Ruud will probably want to pursue it. Same as Eric Ramsey, same as McLaren, same as Van der Gaag and all these guys. This is why they go into coaching. They want to be managers. They want to manage first teams, and they want to find the right opportunity. And so I don't begrudge anyone for doing that. So, but you guys let me know your thoughts on the match. What are your score predictions? Who you want to see in the starting lineup? I'm predicting 4-1. I threw out a mixture of experience and youngsters we'll see who's fit, who's ready. We'll see who starts. It could be indicative of, you know, who's been down in tools, who's not had a great attitude, and we'll go from there. Lionheart says, I do hope Haka buggers off back. You know, not a big Rene Haka fan. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for stopping by. Lionheart's, Danny B, Z, and who else jumped in here earlier? Hold on. Somebody else did it. I want to make sure I give a shout out to everybody who was jumping by. I think that was it. Only a couple of you in here today. So Mr. Norte, that's the other one. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the match tomorrow, wherever you're watching it from. And then I will be back, obviously, probably do a combination video of match reaction and then preview of this weekend's match against Chelsea. So until then, enjoy your day. I will see you all later. Lionheart says, go ahead, Eagles to United. How's that? He's an assistant, so it is what it is. But we did that video on Rene Haka when he joined too, so go ahead and watch that as well to learn a little bit more about Rene Haka when we appointed him. But thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day. I will see you on the next one. Later.